Happy New Year to all of you and welcome to This Week in Agriculture. I'm Philip Keitany, and today we're still looking at events that shape the agricultural sector in the year 2019. And today I'm joined by three distinguished guests, and I will start with the gentleman next to me, Patrice Ngenga. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, my name is Patrice Ngenga. I work with Fresh Produce Exporters Association of Kenya. I work in the technical department as a standards and compliance officer. So FPIC is an institution which represents exporters, growers, and growers, and producers of cut flowers, fruits, vegetables, and herbs. So we do export, our members do export vegetables to a number of countries in the EU and also regionally. So what we do for them, advocacy and lobbying, we do capacity building, market access initiatives, and also standards to compliance to standards.
Okay, thank you very much. Next to Patrice is Hannah Njoki. Please introduce yourself, Hannah, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Hannah Njoki. I work at Usomi Limited as a market specialist, also in the Department of Precision Agriculture. Okay, at Usomi we try to use data to help farmers to do precision agriculture, because now agriculture is evolving. So we want to help farmers understand how technology is going to help them increase their produce and also help them to access markets, both in Kenya and also abroad.
Okay.
Yes.
Last but not least, we have Emmanuel Atamba. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Atamba. I work with the Route to Food Initiative, the Ambassador Route to Food Initiative. I'm also in charge of research and policy analysis at the Route to Food Initiative. The Route to Food Initiative is an initiative formed by people who are keen about issues to do with the right to food in Kenya and working towards realization of the right to food in Kenya.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. I'm sure we'll have a very fruitful conversation. Let's start by looking at our first topic of discussion, and we'll look at the Mau Forest. Mau Forest forms the largest closed canopy forest ecosystem of Mount Kenya and the Aberdares combined. It is the single most important water catchment in the Rift Valley and Western Kenya, despite its critical importance for sustaining current and future economic development. The Mau complex has been impacted extensively by illegal, irregular, and ill-planned settlement, as well as illegal forest resource extraction. In an effort to conserve the forest, the government recently embarked on an eviction process, which had elicited mixed reactions from political leaders and the public.
Kenya's largest water catchment area that is slowly metamorphosing into a source of conflict, pitting the government, elected leaders, and locals.
Sisi tuko nyumbani. Tumekaa hapa miezi hapa karibu 60.
Tunapunguza tu, japokuwa tunaona kama hatutaweza kumaliza. Tumewacha mahindi kwa shamba, marakwe, na hata bidhaa vingine vya nyumba.
It was flattened. It is now dotted with tree seedlings. Environment Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko was among leaders who spearheaded the reclamation process.
So reclamation is done. The hard part now begins to restore this important resource.
According to Tobiko, the first phase of eviction saw the reclamation of 11,000 acres of land, while the second saw 22,000 acres reclaimed.
This vital water tower have moved out themselves voluntarily.
Let me start with you, Patrice. As you've heard from that story, the Mau Forest has been one of the most important ecosystems in this country, but it has over the years seen a lot of destruction. What is your opinion on what the government was doing for evicting those people who had encroached in the forest?
Thank you. My thoughts are, I think we are a bit too late. It's not too late, but it should have happened a long time ago, because agriculture and the environment, they go hand in hand. You cannot separate one from the other. And the illegal logging which has been taking place for the many years which have passed, it's actually affecting our production systems.
Okay.
We all know that the Rift Valley region is actually one of our major food baskets, and one of the reasons why we are not getting as much food as we are supposed to get from that region is because climate change is one of the reasons, which is also brought about by deforestation. The water levels are going down. Now the farmers can't know when to expect so much rain, and there are so many factors which come with what is happening in the Mau. And it's actually a sad state because having it 50 years ago, I think I was not around, but I think it was a very nice place even to look at, because with the trees, the serenity that comes with the forest, and also the ecosystem, the fresh air, the water bodies, the rivers which emanate from that water tower. It's actually a very important water tower, not just for Kenya, but also for the East Africa region, because also, if you look at Tanzanians also, they're actually also suffering from the same. So I think the government should keep doing what they're doing. People should get out of Mau. We should now reclaim it and take it to where it was a number of years ago.
Thank you very much. Hannah, what is your opinion on the restoration of the Mau forest?
Okay, for me, I support the government because this is way overdue. The kind of farming that is going on in Mau, it's unsustainable. Like it's not productive enough. It's just small families cutting up lands and doing farming. So for me, it's a good initiative. People should support the government, and also the government should not just stop at Mau. There are so many catchment areas around in Kenya. Mau is just a prime place which serves a vast land, a vast area in Kenya, but let them not stop there. They should also come up with policies that are going to support such initiatives. Let's not just be like a one-time thing. Something is going to be done and being evaluated. What's the impact of evicting people from here? Has it helped us as Kenya? Has it helped us in boosting our production? Let it be a long thing. Let it have a value chain that is going to help us know the kind of impact it's going to have in the near future.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Atamba, how did we get ourselves into this mess?
Yeah, I think first of all, before we even try to look at the causes, I think environmental conservation is a very important undertaking. And as my fellow panelists have said, it should not be a one-off thing. This should be a continuous. It should be within us. In our models of economic development, in our models of food production, we should always have aspects of environmental conservation. But I would like to to disagree in the manner in which the evictions were done in Mau. The evictions really did not carry the dignity of the people who are there. Those people are Kenyans like any other Kenyan. Some of them had title deeds issued by government. Some of them had land transaction documents witnessed by government officials. And I think the manner in which the process was handled was not prudent. And you're seeing a lot of reactions from all quarters, because even the basic rights of these people were violated, even their right to food. More than 9 people actually died throughout the process of eviction, which is really sad. The evictions did not need to be violent because the government, in its own wisdom, also had put in place infrastructure, had built roads there, had built schools there. And that was to legitimize the settlement of these people there. So I think, even in the way we think about, because Mau is not the only water catchment areas. There are a lot of water catchment areas that are under threat. No matter how small they are significant in their own ways. I think that conversation about conserving our environment, especially for purposes of ensuring that we are able to produce food for today and food for tomorrow, ensuring that we're able to access fresh water for all of us, should continue, and we should see this going out through all the parts of the country. But if there are any evictions to be done in that regard, then they have to be humane. They have to respect human rights.
Thank you very much, the 3 of you, for your comments. I think we'll move to another story of the day. I'm sure for the Mau situation, I'm sure we can take the whole day discussing the Mao. It's been in the headlines for a very long time. So I think I'll want to leave it at that and maybe move to another story. The cut flower subsector has been fluctuating throughout the year. According to the Kenya Flower Council, the floriculture sector currently employs more than 90,000 employees directly and over 500,000 indirectly. Let's take a look.
Australian authorities introduced the regulations in March 2018 and gave the target countries time to comply, extending the effective date 3 times.
Cases like Australia, which have grown, we know they have introduced new measures that require offshore fumigation of the flowers, and we are working with KEFIs and others to see how this can be addressed. But we have also encouraged the private sector to see if they can invest in fumigation facilities to ensure that they continue to access that market.
Kutokana na kudorora kwa soko la maua la kimataifa, bei ya maua imerudi chini. Aidha, changamoto kama kudorora kwa thamani ya shilingi, hali mbaya ya anga na gharama ya juu ya wafanyakazi, usimamizi wa kiwanda cha Finlays umeamua kufunga operesheni katika mashamba ya Chemirei na Tarakwet mapema zaidi ya tulivyokuwa tumetangaza awali.
Hannah, let me start with you. The flower sector has been a very important subsector, especially when it comes to as a foreign exchange earner. But in the recent past, we've seen some of the flower companies closing shop and moving out. We've seen some reducing their workforce. What do you think is the problem ailing the Kenya flower sector?
Okay, my take is there's a lot of competition, both internally and externally. It's a very lucrative industry, as you have said, it earns a lot of money. But now, I also think like the trend, flowers are somehow vintage. These are flowers are the old school. Let me just put it like it's old school. So I think the demand only rises during special occasions like Valentine's, Mother's Day, something like that. So if it's only going to be marketable during those times, I think the way we are going to find, we are going in a world whereby people don't value flowers as much. So the only thing I can say is the way we are evolving, we are becoming, we are finding ways of showing love in different ways. So I think they should just become more creative and find other ways of hovering around that thing. They just don't give flowers as it is. Find a way to repackage it. And definitely the flower industry is going to revive.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hannah. Let me come to Patrice. Patrice, you're the guys who export all this, the flowers and other agricultural stuff. What do you think is the problem, or where are we going wrong? Or why are these farms leaving the country?
Thank you. I'll start by saying the flower industry is a very important sector for us as a country. Because if you look at the horticultural exports, horticulture is number 2, second to tea. And flowers take up to 75% of what we export in terms of horticulture. So we can't just wish the sector away. So I think it is important for us because it earns us a lot of money in the regions of hundreds of billions. Like in 2018, we had horticulture brought in around 153 billion Kenya shillings, 2018 alone, and it's growing. The value for our flowers is also high in the export market. So I think we should do as much as we can to keep the sector thriving because it also employs a good number of people. I've heard you say around 50,000 directly, 500,000 indirectly, because people have livelihoods being supported by the flower sector. So it is an important sector for us, and we should do as much as we can to maintain it.
Okay.
On where we are going wrong, the major issue is the business environment. Currently, the business environment is not so favorable in the country, in Kenya to be specific. So you find the legislations, the taxes, especially the cess which we have to pay Imagine if you are getting flowers from Meru in Timau, you have to pay cess in how many counties? Around 5. That's a cost which eats into your profits. And then when the flowers get to the export market, they are not so competitive, because again you also have to consider the tax which you're paying and the cess and all that. So I think the government should do something about that, harmonize these fees or something. I don't know. We need, actually it's harmonization that is required, because agricultural cess should only be paid from the county of source. If I got flowers from Kericho, I should only pay cess to Kericho. These other counties have no business getting any money from it, because we are still paying taxes in other avenues.
And on a light note, Atamba, as Hannah just put it, she was trying to say Kenyan men, we are not romantic enough. We don't buy flowers. As you always want to point us in the route to food. And as you've heard, flowers are putting a lot of food on people's tables. But at the same time, we don't consume the same flowers. As it feeds all these people, do you think we are the cause of maybe some of these companies closing shop because we are not romantic enough?
I think it's it's our culture. We have no business with flowers in our culture. So some of us, there are different ways, as she has said. There are now different ways of showing love. We have M-Pesa is our biggest invention in the country, so it's a very good way of showing love. So we don't need flowers. But I think what Patrice is talking about, the structural issues, need to be looked at, especially in the view of protecting the livelihoods of the many households that depend on this industry. And I wouldn't go into the details because, I mean, he's the expert. So if there is double taxation, if the business environment is not very good enough, because I know also with my little interactions with the people working in the flower farms, the welfare of the workers in these flower farms is something really to be looked at. And I think the government needs to look at it. Otherwise, we'll be having a figure, we are talking of billions that we are getting from the flower industry. But if it's not helping our people, if it's not helping the people participating in this industry, then it's all in vain.
We've seen complaints from this sector that they use a lot of very strong chemicals. What do you think that has an impact on the lives of the people working there and the communities that are living around there?
Yeah, the flower industry is a big consumer of agrochemicals. There are quite a number of chemicals that are used on flowers. And, we have seen studies, for example, around Lake Naivasha on flower farms there, and the chemicals they use and the way they get themselves into the lake, affecting, animal species, plant species around the lake. And, but I believe because, the biggest market is Europe, and Europe made a pronouncement very clear that, if you're going to bring us flowers, then they should not have, content of chemicals that have been banned here, because they are either carcinogenic or they are going to harm the environment. And so I think that is self-regulatory, because as we have agreed, we are not buying the flowers. So more or less the buyer has decided that, these chemicals that you are using on the flowers, and I think that has been corrected. But I think more and more conversations need to go, especially in how the chemicals are used and the exposure levels of the workers who work in those flower farms.
Yeah. Thank you very much, all of you. And unfortunately for you, Anna, you've heard they are not going to buy you flowers anytime soon. So take heart. We'll take a short commercial break, but we'll be back shortly. But in the meantime, you can also give us feedback on our social media platform and on our SMS platform. But keep it KTN Farmers TV.